En este su programa Café con Leche, la voz de los latinos en América. Estamos transmitiendo desde hermosa 1470M, 96.9 FM. Les habla Lilia Galindo, me acompaña Tomás Celayas. Él escribe en el periódico del Valle del Antílope 2 veces a la semana y en aproximadamente 90 periódicos en el estado de California. Y así es que vamos a darle la bienvenida. Good morning, Tom. How are you?
I'm very well. And we have two things we could talk about today, but I'm going to have to talk fast to cover them both.
Okay.
One is the Senate race coming up, starting very soon, because Dianne Feinstein is 89 years old and has shown some signs recently of a little bit of senility, according to her staff and according to others who've had contact with her. And so she very likely won't be running for re-election next year and the year after, because if she does, she'd be 91. She's already the oldest person in the Senate right at the moment. Now, at the same time, we have Governor Newsom saying to President Biden and to Vice President Harris that he will not run against either one of them for president. And so now we have a situation where Newsom is in office until 2026. But if either Harris or Biden runs in 2024, Newsom will have no place to go unless he runs for the Senate, which he might very well do in 2024. He's not admitting to it right now, but he's in a position to control the Senate race because he is such a proven vote getter in California. Every time he runs, he gets about 61% of the vote, which is a massive margin for most politicians. And it would be very difficult for any of the Democrats who are now considered likely to run for the Senate to beat him.
Okay, let me translate, please. Okay. Bueno, vamos a hablar de una cosa muy importante que se viene próximamente, que es otra vez una posición en el Senado que va posiblemente quede libre porque la senadora Feinstein ya va a cumplir 89 años y si corriera para la próxima elección tendría 91 años. Entonces su staff ha dicho que hay algunos ya momentos donde está mostrando que la edad le está impidiendo continuar con sus actividades como debe ser. Dice, y lo increíble es que el gobernador Newsom ya declaró que no va a correr para vicepresidente o vicepresidenta en contra de Biden y en contra de Harris. Entonces, cuando él termina su mandato, que es en el 2024, pues entonces se va a ver en cuál. Dice, seguramente está pensando en obtener ese cargo de senador que podría obtener sin ninguna dificultad. Dice, porque ya hemos visto, el gobernador termina en el 2026, y Biden y Harris van a correr en el 24. En el 26, él es posible que piense en ocupar esa posición del Senado, dice, y es muy fácil que gane los votos porque siempre es una persona muy hábil para obtener una gran cantidad de votos. Todas las elecciones ha tenido más de 61% del voto y así es que es muy probable que gane. So if he becomes Senate, he will be better to become president later?
It gives him a place to wait and still keep his name in the news all the time. And if he wants to be at some point the leading Democratic candidate for president, he's going to have to keep his name in the news. Now, he did a very good job of keeping in the news in the past year, for instance, by taking out ads against the governor of Florida and the governor of Texas over their abortion issues and their don't say gay policy in Florida, where the school teachers are not allowed to discuss homosexuality at all. So if Newsom wants to persist as a politician and not run for president in 2024, which he has said to the two most likely people to run for president as Democrats, then he has to seek some other office. And the office that's available is that Senate seat. Now, that may disappoint people like Adam Schiff and Barbara Lee of Oakland and Ro Khanna of San Jose. And it may disappoint Shirley Weber, who's the Secretary of State, and thinks that that seat, because it belonged to Kamala Harris at one time, should belong to a black woman, and it might as well be her. That's what Shirley Weber thinks. There's many people who would like to run for that Senate seat. But if Newsom runs, they can all forget about it.
Ya, bueno, nos está hablando de cómo el ocupar la posición de senador le permitiría todavía estar en el ojo del público y haciendo noticias, ¿verdad? Y aunque ha hecho muy buenas noticias últimamente, cuando en Texas y en Florida ha participado exponiendo sus oposición en contra de estos estados que están poniendo reglas del aborto y también de limitarlos a hablar de las personas gay. Dice, y entonces él, para estar en el ojo público hasta que llegue la elección siguiente, pues lo que va a hacer es volverse senador. Dice, y eso va a decepcionar a muchas personas que están esperando esa posición vacante para ellos, como Adam Schiff, que es un congresista de California que ha hecho muy buen papel, y otros que mencionó, que no reconozco bien los nombres, y luego Shirley Weber, que es la secretaria de Estado, que se quedó en lugar de Alex Padilla, y ella cree que porque Kamala Harris ella está ocupando el lugar de Kamala Harris, que entonces esa posición debe ser para la comunidad negra. So, okay.
Okay, so we have another issue in California coming up, and this is given to us by the Supreme Court, which is considering a case from North Carolina Republican legislators who argue that the elections clause in the Constitution allows state legislators and only state legislators to control federal elections within their states. And this is a way that Trump, for instance, in 2020, tried to steal the election. He tried to get state legislators to appoint phony electors to the Electoral College, people that hadn't been elected as members of the Electoral College, that would support him in states that actually voted for Biden. And they could have changed the election around. Well, the interesting thing about this is if the Supreme Court should rule in favor of the North Carolina Republican legislators, and after their hearing a week or so ago at the Supreme Court, it was kind of impossible to say exactly what the justices might do when they finally rule on this early next year. But this would put California legislators in a position, because California is so big, it would put California legislators in a position where they could counter moves by legislatures in other states. For instance, if other states, without the courts having anything to say about it, were to gerrymander their districts in such a way that no Democrats could get elected, well, a ruling that says everything is up to the state legislatures would allow the California legislature to get rid of the independent redistricting committees that we've had for the last 15 years in California that have made up the last two sets of districts. And if they did that, California would not be electing, as it did this last time, 12 Republicans and 40 Democrats to Congress. Instead, the Democrats would draw districts and only allow one or two Republicans to get elected. And people like Mike Garcia in your own district there, and people like Young Kim and Michelle Steele and John Duarte and Kevin Kiley, these people would not have been elected. David Valadao is another. Without those six people, the Republicans do not have a 4-seat majority in the House. And so California's legislature alone, as it now stands, could switch around to control of the House of Representatives. And the other thing to consider is that if the state legislatures ever do nominate phony electors and elect a president in a very unethical way, the way that Trump tried to do it the last time, well, there might be another insurrection. The far right does not have a monopoly on armed insurrections in this country. Remember, in 2020 and 2021, the Antifa far-left anarchists took over the cities of Portland and Seattle. And it took a lot of police action and National Guard action to get rid of them. If they conducted an insurrection similar to what was done on January 6th, we'd have a whole new thing.
Tom, let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you because we have a phone call. We are going to take a phone call very fast, because we almost don't have time. Buenos días, ¿quién habla? Adelante con tu pregunta, Maritza.
Toda la información que brindan ustedes a la comunidad.
Muchísimas gracias, muchas gracias, Marisa. Gracias por llamarme, te agradezco. Well, do you know, she just called to say thank you very much for this kind of information that we are presenting to the community, because usually we don't.
Thank you very much for calling. But I wanted to say that if the Supreme Court takes an action giving all this authority to the legislatures, it will be sowing the wind. And it may very well be, as the saying goes, that they live to reap the whirlwind.
Very good. Bueno, se trata de una decisión de la Suprema Corte de Justicia que posiblemente tenga que hacer. Se trata de darle el control a los estados, que sus legisladores puedan modificar las elecciones y nombrar, por ejemplo, sus ¿cómo se llaman? Sus electores, y dice entonces, esto pues lo que produciría es que cada quien pudiera hacer lo que quiera, como el plan del presidente Trump, de que los electores cambiaran a los que no habían sido electos de verdad, que pusieran algunos que no eran reales para reemplazarlo y así pudiera ganar la elección. Dice, aunque esto suena preocupante, dice, también lo que sucede es que afortunadamente California tiene tantos electores que podríamos, si les dan el poder, podrían entonces quitar a todos los que ayudan a manejar los mapas y entonces hacer mapas para que solamente los demócratas ganaran. Do you know, Tom, time is gone. Thank you so much for your participation. Merry Christmas. Hasta la vista.
Hasta la vista.